coil racks. They're loaded shotgun style, so that means the eye of the coil is going to be facing the tractor, you know, so you can see just like you're looking down the barrel. My 3 coil racks with coil mats on top of them. The coil mats will keep the coil from moving around on the racks. What's up, guys? Zero That Trucker here, back with another video. It is a Wednesday, and I am waiting to get loaded here in Oswego, New York. I'm actually planning on being on the road for the next 3 weeks. Want to hang out, make a little bit of extra money, potentially a lot of extra money, depending on how all this goes. The week is off to a really good start. Actually, let me look here and see. I can give you guys some numbers as to what I've been pulling so far. The load that I had picked up on Friday, which was my Monday morning delivery, that paid 11,000, or I'm sorry, not 11,000, I wish, I wish, but $1,179 and $63. My Monday morning load that I picked up paid $1,364.15, and my load that I'm picking up today, Tuesday morning, is, well, not Tuesday morning, it's actually Tuesday afternoon now, unfortunately, but we'll get into that. But the load I'm picking up now pays $1,595.08, and once I get that delivered tomorrow, if my calculations are accurate, that will put me at $4,138.86. That's not bad, actually. That's not bad for starting off the day on Wednesday. So that'll put me definitely in good position to, you know, get well above if things go how they normally go, and if they keep at the rate that they're at right now, that'll definitely put me quite a bit above, you know, the average that I'm normally pulling in. I'm normally pulling in, you know, more than 5,000 to the truck per week easily. You know, that's not a problem for me. But with me being out on the road now, I don't have to be concerned with them, my fleet manager, trying to route me back home to get home Friday, so they can pretty much send you wherever the money is, assuming that you have the hours on your clock for it. And that's been the case so far. Yesterday's load was really lucrative. It was really lucrative because it was actually a hazmat load. That was a good one. That was a good one. I only had to drive for 5 hours once I picked that one up. Let me see, where did that go? Because that was the load that I had delivered this morning. And yeah, picked it up in Pennsylvania, delivered here in New York, and after all things were considered, it was like 285 loaded miles and 29 bounce miles. So that was 349 miles total dispatched for that $1,364.15. So that was good. That hazmat load paid definitely pretty well, considering how short of a drive it was. It was very easy to deal with too, so that's a benefit of having your hazmat endorsements. You know, you can get stuff like that from time to time. I've actually only had a couple of hazmat loads since I've been with the company. I have a video on my first one, and I think I'll probably end up making a video for that one that I did yesterday, or I'll make one that you guys can watch, actually. So check that out when you get it, when it comes up, and I pop it up. So as far as me getting loaded at this place, it's later in the afternoon, later in the day than I care to get loaded. This morning, that hazmat load that I had delivered got unloaded around 7:30, but I didn't get dispatched until roughly 9 or 9:30, because I'm in the Eastern time zone. My fleet manager is in the Central time zone, so he's going to be an hour behind in the morning, so I won't necessarily get dispatched quickly early in the AM because he won't be in. But I got empty around 7:30, it was 6:30 a.m. for him. He probably wasn't even in the office yet. So there's the lag with that, and then you know they got to get themselves situated, and the load planner has to get their stuff together as well, and then they all have to come together and send something for me to go pick up. So that was just a little bit of a drag. And then on top of that, I had a 3-hour drive to get out here from where I was in, I think it was Colony, New York. So I had to drive 3 hours north to get up here. And then on top of that, I've been sitting here for a little bit over an hour, probably close to an hour and a half at this point. And it is about 3:40, and this load is going to Anderson, Indiana, and that is 10.5 hours from where I am. So we're definitely not getting there today. I mean, for one, that's a crazy long drive. Two is like, you know, I don't have enough hours on my clock to do that, and I would be driving extremely late, or I guess technically early into the morning, possibly, to go get that done, seeing as how I'm not even getting loaded yet. So I still have to wait for my turn to get called up there and get loaded, then the securement time, tarp time, and then driving out of here. So that's a lot. I'm not gonna, you know, grind myself into the dirt to do that. That's pretty far. I have about 8 hours on my clock, a little bit less than 8 hours, but I'm pretty certain that I'm not gonna push myself to drive that long tonight. I don't think there's any reason to. The place that I'm delivering to tomorrow, they actually received 24/5, and by that 24 hours a day is what I mean, and 5 days a week, so Monday through Friday. And so I'll get unloaded for sure tomorrow, but it's just what time will I get unloaded. And the later in the day that I end up getting unloaded, the less likely I am to get a high paying load after that, because the higher paying loads will be picked over in most cases the later into the afternoon you wait to get something. So we'll see how it goes. But my goal for these 3 weeks while I'm out here, guys, is to pick up at minimum 4-digit to the truck paying load every day. And that means I need to get a load that pays $1,000 or more every day that I'm out here. And so far, that's been the case. I just gave you the numbers from the loads that I've had for this week so far, and I'm satisfied with that. I mean, I've had loads that have paid more than that, and I've had loads that have paid less. So it's all just luck of the draw. Well, not all of it. It's partially luck of the draw. You know where you are, if you're in the right place at the right time. Do you have the right amount of hours available? And are you a reliable driver that they can trust to pick up some high paying stuff and get it taken care of without any mess ups? So we'll get it done. I think if I can think of it, the highest paying load that I've had with this company was a little bit over 7K, and that was great. That was fantastic. That was a load that went all the way to California. Actually, the story behind that one is I was in New York, oddly enough, just as I am now, not in the same place. I was in upstate New York, upstate northeast New York. I think just about as far up as I can go without getting into the Canadian border. And I don't remember the exact city, but I picked up some walled roofing, the rolls, the really thick rolls that stand up. Not the kind that are laying down like carpet rolls, but the kind that are standing up like rolls of toilet paper in a package, you know, if you can envision that in your mind's eye. And yeah, that went all the way to Tracy, California. It took me 4.5 days, but it paid for sure very, very well. And it was a great trip. It was a great trip. You know, seeing the geography and the topography of the country change as you go from the east, the Midwest, going through the mountainous regions, and then, you know, getting to California, it was great. You know, the trip out there and the trip back, you know, it was a lot of fun. It went very well. I would definitely do something like that again. I need to see if I can get with my fleet manager and then get some more freight that pays that way. You know, I definitely approve. But for right now, all we can do is sit and wait. You know, I'm wanting to see, or trying to decide, you know, whenever they're gonna call me to get loaded, if I'm going to try to drive back there or if I'm going to try to crawl, you know, because we're in the shipper's yard, but it's a longer distance from where I am to where I need to get loaded. And I think I stopped my clock, or I did my load time, but we're sitting there in sleeper berth now because we're just waiting. And I think we went to sleeper berth around 2:19 or so, and that means 4:19 is when my split log would start, which would stop my clock and give me back any of the duty time that I had burned up by sitting here. And I don't know what I'm gonna do if they call me before that time has elapsed. I don't know if I'm gonna go ahead and say the heck with it and not try to do the split log, or if I'm gonna just go ahead and drive, try to get back there. It would be annoying if I drive to get back there and I have to wait again in the secondary line, because I've been to this place before. And the lot that I'm in right now, as you can see, there's a bunch of other drivers here, and this is the initial lot that you come to wait in, and they'll call you when they're ready for you, and you have to drive around this whole factory to the area where the loading bays are. And the last time I was here, if memory serves me correctly, there's also a line in the back where the other guys that have driven up are waiting their turn to actually dock into the bay. So I would hate to start my clock or get out of sleeper berth driving around that way, you know, the couple of minutes, if that it would take to drive over that way, and then be stuck sitting in line again, and end up sitting in line still long enough for me to have had that split log start if I just crawled back there or just stayed sitting here, if that makes sense. You know, I don't want to do any of that, but I don't want to burn time either, because you know, having that duty time, having more duty time than you do driving hours, that gives you options. You know, you can stop to go to the restroom, you can get the truck washed, you can get fuel, all host of things without burning into your drive clock. But if you have let your duty hours catch up to your drive hours, you're going to be losing time regardless, and there's nothing you can do to preserve your clock at that point. You know, if you stop at a stoplight for 3 minutes, or if you get caught in a traffic jam for any amount of time, or you end up having to drive through the mountains and, you know, losing time going up the hills or whatever, there's nothing you can do about it. You know, there's no way, well, you wouldn't be able to do anything about it in that regard because you're going to be driving. But I'm saying if you had to stop, like, to do anything, restroom, load checks, taking a 30-minute break to eat, like, you wouldn't be able to just burn up your duty time. You would be burning up your drive hours as well, or your duty time would be less than the amount of drive time available to you. And it could just alter your plans. You know, it could mess up your trip plan for how far you want to go that day or this time, like I'm trying to avoid it doing for me. But you know, you just got to make that decision. It's something you have to deal with on a daily basis, I think, as a driver, because you never know how long it's going to take to get loaded at a shipper. You just have to try to plan accordingly, and whatever trip plan that you're making for yourself, you got to make sure that you will actually be able to execute that under reasonable circumstances. Like right now, the stuff that I explained to you guys is stuff that happens on a daily basis, so it's pretty safe to assume that any of those things could happen as soon as I leave this place. That's why I always make a plan A and a plan B for myself, and sometimes a plan C, depending on what part of the country I'm in. So plan A will be, okay, I'm gonna drive like for 6 hours, and I'm gonna park at this Pilot or whatever truck stop in this city, and That's plan A. Plan B is, okay, if I get to that place that I'm planning on going to and all the truck stop parking spaces are filled up, where am I going to park after that if I don't have that alternative? And then, you know, plan C could be like, okay, if something happens, I get stuck in traffic, you know, where could I park that is ahead of where I initially planned to park? So if I had to stop short, I don't have as much time as I originally planned to have, where can I stop then? You know, so these are all things I'm thinking in my head every day for every load that I pick up. You know, unless I have something super easy, you know, where I know the exact route that I'm going, like for like a load I've picked up before or something, you know, and I know all the little nooks and crannies where I can go park, you know, or if I'm going home, you know, I know how far I am from home and, you know, where traffic slowdowns might be, you know, anything like that. But definitely don't go out picking up any freight and, you know, not plan where you're going to park, you know, until after you've started driving. You know, you definitely want to trip plan and get everything sorted out before you let that truck leave the lot where you've picked up. That way you don't have any unwelcome surprises or anything that's going to unduly stress you out when you're on the road. We finally made it inside of the loading bay. We got called in probably 20 or 30 minutes ago, I think. Maybe more. Probably more. But it's 5:50 right now. And we've been here since, what was I saying? Like 1 something, 1:45 or something like that. So I'm not thrilled. Not thrilled about this one. I mean, the pay is all right, but it's throwing off my scheduling. You know, I was anticipating being on the road, already secured and on my way to Indiana by now, but that's trucking. You will encounter delays, whether that's a delay at the shipper, like I'm going through right now, a traffic jam, a breakdown, or any other thing that can stop you or slow you down from getting from point A to point B. All I can do is push through it, and make the most out of it. Make the most out of it, rather. But we're getting 2 coils. I found out 2 steel coils. Not 100% sure if I'm gonna go through recording myself securing this one, guys, just because I'm already so far behind from having to wait here, being detained, which I will be putting in for my detainment pay. Best believe that, because of this. It's I believe anything 2 hours or more, but I think you know, you check in with the detainment specialist at the company, you know, if you've been sitting for an hour and a half, and let them know that you're not moving, and they'll do what they need to do to try to get you going, or at least put you on the board for detainment pay, so long as that particular shipper or consignee pays it. That's the caveat, you know. Not all of these guys pay detainment pay when they hold you, unfortunately, but I do believe that this one does, because I was prompted to keep track of my time while I'm here, so that's a positive sign that they do pay detainment. Otherwise, I think they would probably let me know right away if they did not pay. But we're getting 2 coils. They're going to be loaded shotgun style. They're about 23,000 pounds each, 55 inches long, which that matters for the spacing when I put my coil racks under it. You're supposed to have a minimum of 2 coil racks and an additional coil rack for each 10,000 pounds more of weight. Now these coils weigh 2,300 pounds, or I'm sorry, 23,000 pounds, like I said, but that 3,000 pounds, you just round that up. So 23,000, you might as well say it's 30,000. So you can't put a partial coil or a piece of a coil on a load. So I'm gonna put 3 coil racks under this. well, I already have. I set it up, but I'm not sure if they allow you to record at this place. I haven't seen any signs out here that explicitly say you cannot record. So I might get you guys just a quick view of my setup. But like I said, with me being so far behind in time, I'm probably not gonna take my time and film myself doing all of this, you know, getting all the different angles for you guys, and taking my little slow motion snapshots and showing you guys the ins and outs of this one. Not this particular time, because like I said, I got a 10.5 hour drive ahead of me, guys, and I really want to get myself down the road as soon as I'm able to. So I'm gonna secure this as quickly as I safely can while still being thorough, and I'm gonna get myself out of here as soon as I can, because the way that this is looking, the way that this is gone, I'm probably not going to get on the road until 7 o'clock. You know, that's being optimistic, because this place is just slow today. It's just being slow. I've been here a couple of times in the past, and I don't think they were too much faster those other times, but there weren't as many people waiting to be loaded as there are here today. I mean, you can see guy there, and that little bit of glare, but there's a bunch of trucks out that way waiting for their opportunity to get in here. So that's just the way it is sometimes, guys. Like I've mentioned in my previous videos, I want to show you guys the reality of trucking. You know, every delivery or pickup is not going to be you know, sunshine and rainbows with everything going exactly how you want it to. Sometimes you'll have something like this that's annoying, having a long delay, you know, and having a late start to your day through no fault of your own, and sometimes it just happens. You just gotta persevere and go through it. Like I say, you know, the majority of my deliveries and pickups, I don't encounter these issues, but when they do happen, you know, it sticks out in your mind just because it sucks so much. But the majority of the time, you know, it's smooth sailing. You know, I pick up and get on the road and move quickly how I need to and get things done without having a whole lot of lag time. Let me see what else. I'm due for a truck wash. Trying to plan when I'm gonna get that done. Fortunately for me, I have some options. There are, I believe, several truck washes along the routes that I'm gonna take going to Indiana. I'm gonna actually utilize the I-80, I-90 turnpike going through Ohio and Indiana. Now normally for this company, you have to get authorization. You can't just hop on and use these that particular set of turnpikes without getting confirmation and authorization from your fleet manager, because it's expensive going from end to end in Ohio and Indiana using I-80 or I-90. But this route is a next day delivery, and it's over 600 miles that I have to drive between the bounce miles and the loaded miles. I mean, heck, the loaded miles themselves is 597, so that's almost enough by itself just to qualify me to use it. But with the bounce miles being 167 miles, the total dispatch miles for this load is 764. So that by itself is more than a full 11-hour day of driving. You know, like I said, just the loaded miles after I finish securing this load and get on the road, it's almost a full 11 hours. It's 10.5 hours to go where I need to go, which adds to the fact, or the reason why I'm not happy about this. So I'm gonna have to chop down as much of that 10.5 hours as I can today, like determining how late I want to drive in order to you know, drive as few hours to finish knocking this off as I can tomorrow. And I'm almost thinking that, you know, with me having such a long drive and it being so late right now, it's almost going to mess my day up to where it's going to turn this next day delivery into a 2-day. Like, I'll drive today and then drive some tomorrow, but with the hours that I may have left on my clock tomorrow, it'll be like, you know, what kind of load would I be able to pick up? you know, I may not have a whole lot of time left on my clock to make something happen for tomorrow's load, which is very annoying because I'm out here to make money, not to sit around at the shipper and blow a whole day because the shipper is slow. But that's out of my control. That's more of a thing on the shipper. It's not necessarily a company or a TMC problem necessarily being inflicted on me, but it is very annoying. But I have, like I said earlier, you know, 2.5 weeks ahead of me to make up for this headache right here. You know, more likely than not, I'll probably get some high-paying loads, some other very high-paying loads after this. You know, I could get you know, the next load I pick up, you know, it could be like a $2,000 load or a $3,000 load, or, you know, heck, even a $7,000 load. All of those numbers are loads that I have had before. You know, loads that pay in the 2,000s or the $3,000 to a truck, or like I said, the $7,000 to a truck. That was amazing. That was my best load to date. I've even heard from another driver, and I don't know if it's a fishtail or not, but he said that he had a load that paid him $10,000 to the truck. And you know, I want to believe it. You know, maybe it's possible, possibly. Well, with me having gotten a load that paid $7,000 to the truck, you know, $3,000 more dollars, you know, depending on what the load was, where it was going. You know, I don't know if he had hazardous material, you know, anything that could have paid extra, you know, any bounce mile pay, you know, there's all kinds of factors that add to it. So that's my goal, you know, to get something that pays that much or more. You know, that would be amazing. You know, you'd make more than a whole week's worth of pay off of just one delivery. You know, that would be awesome. I've been there. But loads like that aren't an everyday thing. You know, it's about being in the right place at the right time with the right availability. That's why you always want to make sure that you are doing whatever you can every single day to maximize the time available on your clock and move efficiently, because you never know when the planets are going to align and, you know, you'll be in the running to have like one of those mother load paying freight shipments, you know, where you can make a whole lot of money off of one delivery. They are definitely awesome when they come through. But let me see if I can quickly show you guys my setup. I'm going to show it to you guys from a distance. I don't want to walk around out there too much just because things are kind of tight out there, and there's a lot of noise, so it might not transfer as well. But let's see if we can get a quick shot. All right, guys, we got this set up, and one thing you want to do when you're staging yourself for, you know, some of these plants, when you're able to, you want to go ahead and set up all the equipment that you can while you're waiting. As you see, I got all of my chains and chain binders and straps that I'm planning on using for the load. I got my tarps out as well, both my standard steel tarp and then my padded tarps that I'm going to use, and the coil racks, they're loaded shotgun style, so that means the eye of the coil is going to be facing the tractor, you know, so you can see just like you're looking down the barrel. My 3 coil racks with coil mats on top of them. The coil mats will keep the coil from moving around on the racks. And since I'm getting 2 coils, I wanted to go ahead and split the difference on the trailer. This little welded piece right here lets me know that this is the center of the trailer. So I put 1 coil rack in front of this welded piece, and I put another coil rack or another set of coil racks behind it, so that the weights would be evenly distributed. So in theory, or not in theory, but in practice, you want to make sure that each of your coil racks is actually underneath the coil. Otherwise, there's nothing to support that coil on those wood beams. You know, you don't want your coil racks to be in front of the coil or behind it. You want them to all be directly underneath it, but evenly spread apart. And let's see, I got my dunnage back there, if you can see that. My spare piece of dunnage for the back, and then a spare piece of dunnage in the front slip here, so I can tent tarp the load, make sure no moisture gets onto it. And the coils back there, they're wrapped in plastic already to give them extra protection. The only thing that I forgot to pull out, now that I'm thinking about it, I forgot to pull out metal edge protectors that I'm going to need for this. but I'll definitely get to that before I start tightening those chains. But all we can do is sit and wait right now. There's no telling how long I'm gonna be sitting here waiting for this freight to be loaded on the trailer. So I'm gonna go get comfortable. All right, guys, it is 6:46 p.m. right now, and we're still waiting to be loaded. I have no idea what the holdup is. I mean, I don't know if it's a shift change or they got some kind of problems out here. I mean, if it were a shift change, it's taking a really long time, you know, for the new guys to get in here, but I don't think it's that. Unless they're just that slow here, I really don't know. But when I was telling you guys a few hours ago about my split log starting, I forgot to update you at the time, but we did end up sitting at that initial waiting area for the 2 hours, maybe a little bit longer than 2 hours. So our split log did start, and I did actually crawl through or around the block, or not really around the block, but around the bend to the loading bays back here in order to not restart my clock once the split log had began. So I'm still in sleeper berth now, and my time is frozen. And actually the two drivers that were heading back here with me, they were actually, you know, on the same line of thinking apparently, because they were driving slower than I was to get back here. I mean, they were quite a bit, you know, I'd say maybe like 60 or 70 yards behind me driving back here. So none of them wanted to start their clocks either, apparently, and with good reason, turns out, because just as I was thinking, if I had started my clock, you know, got into yard move or into drive line to come back here, you know, this little 2-minute drive to get back here into the secondary waiting line, I would have been hurrying up to wait, you know, because I got back here and I've been sitting ever since. Like I said, it's almost 7 p.m., which before was the time that I was hoping to, you know, be out of here, you know, but apparently it's going to be later than that. So I have it set in my mind now that I am definitely not going to drive super far tonight. I'm not going to drive until like the early AMs, you know, past midnight and all that. Because even if I like left at 8 p.m. and drove for just 4 hours, you know, that would have me driving until midnight. You know, I don't like doing that kind of thing. For me, 11 p.m. maybe 11:30 if I'm trying to push it, but you know, 11 p.m. is really my cutoff, regardless of how many hours I have left on my clock, because you know, you'll just get yourself into a trend of driving later and later into the evening, because if you drive till 11, your 10-hour clock won't refresh until 9 a.m. and you know, it just gets progressively later from there, you know, and the later you start your clock means the later you'll get empty. The later you get empty means the less premium rates will be available as far as like the freight that you'll pick up. You know, the higher paying rates are usually available the earliest in the morning, and first come first served is how they're dispatched. So you want to be one of the first guys to get empty in the morning, not in the afternoon, because you'll stand a higher likelihood of getting what's left over after everything else has been picked over by the guys who got unloaded before you. You know, when you get one of those leftover loads, you might end up having to drive, you know, like an hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours to go pick up one of the leftover loads that's like within the radius that they'll send you to pick something up. So you don't want to get into that trap, you know. But yeah, my clock is frozen for the split log. I have 9.5 hours of duty time and 7 hours 52 minutes of drive time, and I can tell you out flat I'm not going to drive for, you know, 7 hours 7 hours or 8 hours, and nothing like that tonight. That's a whole work shift, and I've been up since 6:30 a.m. this morning. So just not a good idea. So this load is more likely than not going to end up being like delivered sometime tomorrow afternoon, maybe even evening, depending on how far I choose to drive tonight and when I stop. But I'll have to address all that with my fleet manager in the morning and let him know. Once I do finally stop tonight, I'll send them a message, you know, so they'll see that in the morning, and they'll know what the situation is, you know, why I had such a delay at this place. I mean, it is ridiculous. Like I said, I got here like around 1:30 this afternoon, and it's almost 7 p.m. So I am over this place. I am over this place. But that just goes to show, guys, you know, you want to make sure that you're being conservative with your clock. You know, going back to me trying to set myself up with that split log and preserving my clock, because experience told me that I may be waiting a second time once I come back here, and that proved to be a good decision. That's accurate. So that split log being available to me now just provides me with options. So I can drive as far as I want to, stop whenever I want to, and I don't have my clock counting down, you know, giving me only so far that I could possibly drive. But I don't know, man. It's almost like I might have to set up a tent or something and start camping here. Because yeah, we've been here for what, a little bit over 6 hours, I think. 2 more hours, and we've spent a whole 9 to 5 work shift sitting here just waiting to be loaded. As lame as this is, you know, I've had one other experience where I had an extremely long detainment, and I was in, I believe I was in Missouri somewhere. I was actually scheduled to go and get some maintenance done on the truck at one of TMC's terminals, the one in Joplin, and I was at a shipper that was, fortunately for me in that case, only 45 minutes away from the terminal. But I sat at that shipper, not exaggerating, I sat at that shipper for 10 hours, literally 10 hours, waiting to get loaded. Now, had that been a regular day, I would have been furious, and I would have had to have gotten on with my fleet manager and, you know, had to make something else shake, you know, make something else happen, because like that was ridiculous. The shipper was just extremely slow. They took a very, very long time to load me, and I think I was getting like aluminum siding or aluminum beams or something to that effect. It was something made from aluminum, but I couldn't do it. And after the 10 hours elapsed, I had to drive the 10 hours to get I think it was like a D rate, or no, it wasn't a D rate, it wasn't something that serious. It was something else, check engine light, I believe, that they had to check, and it ended up being something small like a sensor. But fortunately for me, I was staying out over the road that weekend, and I just got to the terminal. I got to the terminal, and I had plenty of hours, of course, since I had like a 10-hour delay. I had a full 10-hour reset, sitting in a shipper, waiting to be loaded piece by piece. But yeah, I drove the 45 minutes, got to the terminal, and I just hung out there for the weekend, and it didn't affect me negatively, fortunately. Like I said, I was so close. But if it would have been a scenario where I was trying to go home and I had been stuck at a shipper for 10 hours, I mean, I can't even tell you guys. I don't know what I would have done, because that's definitely not where you want to be, regardless of whether or not you're getting paid for the detainment. I don't want to sit anywhere for 10 hours, because you're not going to make as much money in detainment as you would, you know, going ahead to get that load delivered. And, you know, aside from the money, it's the time that's wasted. doing that. And your time is more valuable than your money. You can make more money, but you can't do anything to give yourself more time. Who knows when we'll actually get on the road towards Indiana with this 10.5-hour drive we got ahead of us. All right, guys, as you can see, it's full-on nighttime now, but we got loaded. It was about 7:10 when they actually put the first piece on. And the real joke about all that is it was only 2 pieces, and they were done within 10 minutes of loading me. It took a little bit longer than 2 minutes or 10 minutes to finish securing everything, but I did not record any of that just because I was so irritated by the amount of time that I had to sit here. So I wanted to hurry up and get it secured, but I have the tarp on it right now, so you guys can't really even see anything. Can't see anything, but I'll give you guys a quick look of the tarp. But here it is, all tarped up and ready to go. Like I said, I didn't record any of the actual securement process. I'll save that for another video when I have some coils like this. But I'll tell you what I did verbally. It was 2 coils, like I said, 23,000 pounds each. I put X chains, or yeah, X chains, like an X going through, or 1 chain going through the eye, facing one direction diagonally, and another chain going the opposite direction to form an X inside the eye of the coil. And then I did a chain, a U chain, from left through the coil back to the left on the other side, and I did the same thing on the right side. Did that to both coils, and then I threw 2 straps over top of each of the 2 coils. You can't really see, it looks like one piece, but there's 2 coils here, one here, one here. So threw a strap, 2 straps over each of the coils to pin it down. Really simple. But like I said, guys, just because of how today was going, I did not record any of that. But trust me, it's done. It's done properly as well. So now my goal, or my plan, is to figure out how late I'm gonna drive. It's almost 9:30, and I have 10 hours to go. And I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this, if I want to try to drive into the night, or if I want to just drive a few hours, call it quits, get up in the morning and just, you know, finish the route and get this stuff knocked off, and start anew on Thursday, because I'm not going to have many hours on my clock when I get done with this tomorrow. So I'm going to think about it a little bit. Maybe call night dispatch, maybe, and see what the best way to go about this would be. But I'm pretty certain that I'm not going to drive very far tonight, just because of how all this is going. And I don't feel tired now, but I might start getting a little fatigued once I get settled in on the road. But let's go ahead and get started. Guys, it's the next morning. I ended up driving for a few hours last night. I stopped a little bit after 12:30, so my clock recently refreshed 10:30-ish, and got with my fleet manager and let him know the situation. Actually last night sent him a message so he'd see it first thing in the morning when he got in. And everything's all good still with the delivery. I'm not gonna get there early, needless to say. I'm still 8 hours away, but just my appointment time got pushed back. And fortunately, as I mentioned earlier in the video, guys, this place receives 24 hours a day during the week. So my appointment now was set for 9:30 p.m. And actually, if I left right now, which my clock has already started, if I left right now and made a beeline for that place, it says I would get there at 7:30. That's not accounting for the 30-minute break that I'm gonna need to take before I get there. So that's still fine. And what I'm gonna do, since I got a little bit of spare time, or what I'm planning on doing, is getting the truck washed along my way. Assuming that the line at the truck wash is not long, you know, I'll stop there, get the truck washed, be back out on the road, and be able to make it there before that 9:30 appointment, because I believe the truck wash that I'm planning to go to is about 3 hours from where the delivery point is. So that should all work out just fine. And as I've mentioned before, guys, you want to do the best that you can with what you have available to you. So we had that hiccup yesterday that was out of our control, that shipper taking a long time to get us loaded, but we're going to try to turn some lemons into lemonade by maximizing our time getting the truck washed, because we're on the list. This is our second week, so we need to get it washed. I'm going to get it washed on the way there. I'll get some fuel, because there's actually a pilot right across the street from the truck wash that I'm going to go to, so I'll be able to knock that out, take a little bit of a break. I'm going to see if the truck wash takes longer than 30 minutes. I would be okay with that, because that will be my 30-minute break as well, and I will get the rest of my time back on my clock, because the truck wash is about 5 hours from where I am, so that'll put that last 3 back on me, and I can go ahead and drive the rest of the route, get the load delivered, and I'll probably have a preload, or not a preload, but a pre-plan waiting for me that I can either head towards and pick up today or tonight, or just drive in the direction of the pre-plan and pick it up tomorrow morning, which I'm okay with either one of those. Let's hope that it'll be within that 4-digit pay to the truck quota that I put on myself. So hopefully this pre-plan will pay $1,000 or more. We'll see. I've never actually had to go out for something this late, so we'll see how it goes. Usually my stuff is morning or afternoon pickups, so we will see what we have waiting for us. But without further ado, guys, let's get back on the road and get this load off the trailer. Just got the truck washed, guys. It was great because as you can see, there is not a soul in sight. I pulled right in, got the truck washed in less than 15 minutes. And that is what you want every time if you can help it. It's I think I pulled in here around 4:45 p.m. and like I said, there was nobody here, nobody. And the truck is looking fresh once again, super shiny. You can see your reflection in it. So I'm good for another couple of weeks before I'll need to have a mandatory wash. And I'm just waiting for my 30-minute break to be over, so I'll get the rest of my time back. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna actually drive across the street, like literally across the street from where I am at this truck wash, and I'm gonna go ahead and fuel up at the pilot next door, and then we will be back on the road to drive the final 3 hours and get rid of those coils, so we can see what else we're going to be dealing with for the end of the day as far as picking something new up. And I haven't gotten the pre-plan for that yet, so how much that's going to pay is to be determined. But I've got high hopes, because I have a goal for this week here. I want to try to make up for the lost time from yesterday, so we'll see what we get into. All right, guys, we got those 2 coils unloaded. I actually wasn't able to record any of that process just because I was busy, you know, putting all my securement away, and things were just crazy hectic. We ended up getting there at 8:45 p.m. which is fine, which is before the 9:30 appointment time. Like I said, they were running 24 hours a day, so they were ready for me. Or not really, actually. They weren't ready for me when I got there. They were doing other stuff. It was like a big factory. So they had like coils like I had loaded on the trailer. They had coils all over the place. So they're loading their own trucks, getting their trucks prepared for tomorrow morning for their personal deliveries. So they were doing that, and then they came around and worked on unloading me. So I was just getting myself set up, trying to figure out what I was going to do, because they did not have any on-site parking. I mean, realistically, I didn't want to have to get up and drive to go find a place to park if I could help it, but I couldn't stay parked there for the night. You know, they had a big old sign said no overnight parking. I had to try to find a spot, which was pretty difficult for that part of Indiana where I was. Between there and where I'm supposed to be heading for my preload, or I'm sorry, not preload, I keep saying that, but pre-plan for tomorrow. It was like there was a few parking places, a few truck stops, but they all had less than 100 parking spaces in it. And when it's like that, at least in my experience, if you don't get there early enough in the day, like if you don't get there like early, late afternoon, like around 5, or like early evening, like, you know, no later than 7, you know, most of those parking spaces, if not all of them, are going to be filled up in most places, unless you're like out in the middle of nowhere, you know. But I passed up 3 separate truck stops. Well, not really passed them up, I drove into them to see. And before I do any other stuff, part of my trip plan, I always check the app, or one of the apps that I use, Trucker Path, to see the availability of the truck stops that are along my route. And it was saying that all of them were full already, but I had no other alternatives but to just drive that way and you know, test my luck. But yeah, there was no spaces at any of those, and I got to one place here at the very end, the last truck stop. It was a Petro, the last truck stop before there was going to be nothing else until I actually got to the next shipper here. And I had 35 minutes left on my clock when I got here, and it was able to make out a parking space for myself. You know, sometimes you got to do that, you know, find somewhere that's in the lot that is not in the way. You won't be blocking any other drivers from, you know, moving in or out of the truck stop, and you're not going to put yourself in a position where somebody's going to, you know, clip you with their trailer or something when they're trying to drive past you. Luckily for me, you know, because it's late now. It's late because I didn't end up getting unloaded at the previous consignee until, what was it? It was like around 10. It was around 10, and I drove for 2 hours, actually. Yeah, I drove for 2 hours trying to get to where I was. Not because I wanted to, definitely not because I wanted to, but just because, like I said, that was the necessity, since there were no other available parking spaces earlier. I had it originally set in my mind to only drive for 30 minutes and get to the very first truck stop that would have been along my route, but you know, that's what happens sometimes when you're looking for a parking space so late in the evening. What time is it now? It's about 1:30 right now. I mean, I've been parked here for probably about 20 or 30 minutes, so much later than I care to be driving. But we'll be sitting here until our 10-hour refresh is taken care of, and then we'll go ahead and drive that last bit of time to go pick up this preload here at the next place. It actually is a preload, so it's a pre-plan. The load's already picked out for me, and it will be a preloaded trailer that I'm gonna go get. So we'll get that knocked out, man, and we'll see what else we can get into, because we are still on our 3-week journey to make some money out here. I'm looking forward to the weekend. I'm looking forward to the weekend and seeing where I'll be, you know, what I'll do for my my 34-hour reset. See if there's any nice restaurants or anything like that around, anything interesting to get into other than just sitting in the truck waiting for the time to refresh on our 70. We'll see what's happening tomorrow morning.